engineering education in colleges by turning it from being more theory oriented to more practice oriented. So we've been trying, or we've been working for the last decade in getting students to use engineering skills through project-based learning to solve real problems in society. So we have three major flagship initiatives. We are a flagship project of the Ministry of Education. We are funded by the ministry and we are hosted at IIT Bombay. We have one project called the e-Yantra robotics competition, which trains you in hardcore engineering skills, complex engineering skills. And the outcomes of that are fantastic placements and students going for postgraduate degrees to the best colleges in India and abroad. And spontaneous startups. Many students do startups and hardcore engineering startups. And we are very proud of that. And we have a competition called the eYantra Innovation Challenge, EYIC. And the registrations for this are open now. They've just been extended until the 30th of September, which is this Friday. In this competition, we not only train you in elements of engineering we consider important, but we train you how to do a startup. Now, one big problem that students have is that they might have some skills, but they don't know what problem to solve. So it becomes very difficult to do a BE project, for instance, and things like that. So what we do is that we, with the help of experts, we immerse them in a particular problem domain. We help them to articulate interesting problems, which are like unmet needs that are there. And then we help them articulate solutions to those problems. And then we help them build the solution. That's where we are very, very different from other competitions. Our competition is actually a teacher. Our competition is a MOOC, a massive online open course through which we train you and then we make you compete. And then in this competition, once we help you build an artifact, we help you come up with a business plan to pitch it to an incubator, right? And the finalists, if they are interested in continuing to work on this for one more year to make their product better suited to the market with our help, we will give them a prize of 7 lakhs as a way to keep them going for 1 year. Otherwise, what happens is that if you're in your fourth year and you want to continue this, your parents will say, no, no, take up a job. But here you will be working with us in building out your startup idea. Okay, so that's what we do, and we also establish labs across the country in engineering colleges. They're called eYantra labs, and wherever there's a lab, you can bet on it. We are trying to create an innovation ecosystem. So, to give you a flavor of what eYantra is about, my colleagues on the project have taken to giving technical sessions where they kind of introduce you to some interesting technical topics which greatly help you in your engineering journey. And this morning we have my colleague Andrea, who will take you through the beauty of a construct in the Unix operating system, Linux operating system called Bash, shell scripting languages, right? So without much ado, I shall hand the floor over to Andrea to take you through the interesting things about shell scripting. Over to you, Andrea. So incidentally, Andrea is someone who came to us, who was as came to us as a project staff, and she is now registered to do a master's and MTech in the computer science department of IIT Bombay, which is a very, very challenging program to get into. You would have learned recently that out of the 93 toppers in JEE, right? Almost all of them have opted for computer science department at IIT Bombay. We've given one to IIT Madras and one to IIT Delhi. So most of them have come to IIT Bombay and I think generally to the computer science department. So that's an introduction to Andrea. Over to you. Take care. Andrea, we can't hear you.
Yes, sir, we've conveyed that, she's just joining them.
I would request everybody to keep their microphones off, please, because we've been getting extraneous noises. Especially, I can see Neha Balmiki here. I can see Senbhaga Murthy here. Please mute your microphones. Shraddha, also, if you can mute your microphone.
So what I will do is I'll just mute everybody for now, and later when there's an interactive session, I'll let them mute themselves. I
Fine,
think
do
that
that. Do
helps.
that. Okay.
Hello, I guess I'm audible. Yeah, sorry for the delay. I'm so sorry. I'll just get started quickly.
Yeah, you're audible, but you're not visible.
Yeah, yeah. One second.
Very good. You can ask your colleagues to stop talking in the background.
Yeah, just 1 second. See you. Questions are- yes, I hope my screen is visible. Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yes, so I'll just get started. Here we go. So, good morning, everyone. So, I understand that you are all here and interested in knowing what Bash is. But my first question is to you, like, why do you want to learn Bash? Any answers? Like, are you willing to learn Bash? Can someone like unmute and answer this? There's no motivation in learning Bash today. Any?
I've asked you all to mute yourselves. You all can answer on chat.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, Andrea, you may continue.
I, okay, so let's see why we should learn Bash. Okay, so why learn Bash? So say you have a lab or some sort of a system, okay, and you usually perform lot many operations or processes on this particular system. Okay, so take the example of e-Yantra lab here that we have. We have many computers here. We have many other different what we can say instruments, right, that we use. And usually when we use these instruments, we have to log that we are using this system. This is the time we started using it, this is the time we ended. So say one fine day something goes wrong with the system, right, or the instrument. So how are you going to figure it out, right? So in this case, you know that you have a log, but this log is going to contain years and years of data. And now you just want to quickly find the, you know, the exact moment where some error has occurred. And this particular instrument can log this particular error in your log file. So in such situations, if you want to load such a huge file, first of all, loading such a huge file is going to take like time, like a huge time. So here is where Bash kicks in. So Bash is very efficient when processing like huge volumes of data. It will quickly process through the data and give you exactly what you're looking for. Another example where we particularly have used Bash and that has helped us a lot is in the robotics competition. So we have a theme which is based on ROS, and in ROS we usually evaluate that theme using ROS bags, which is actually a log file. So we actually use Bash to evaluate the team's submission that is done on the portal. So that's how powerful Bash is. Now when I say Bash, I am assuming that you guys are not aware of what Bash is. So let us see what is Bash first. Okay, so Bash is actually an acronym for Born Again Shell. Okay, because it's why is it called Born Again Shell is because it's based on Born Shell. Okay, it has got something, I mean, it's basically a superset of Born Shell. That means it has got characteristics of the Born Shell and some more addition features to it. So, and Bash is also distributed by Linux and GNU operating systems. So we understood that what is Bash, okay, and Born is what you say a proper noun. So it was created by Born. The shell was created by Born, so it is Born shell. But now, what is a shell? Okay, so you see over here, this is a very unconventional way of presenting slides, but yeah, I think this completely defines what a shell is actually. So a shell is basically like an interface to which you give commands. Okay, you say to the shell, okay, read this command and tell the operating system to do this for me. Okay, so for example, you can ask ls-l will look at this command, but for now I'm just going to explain what ls is. Ls is going to just list the files within a directory. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking the shell to use this command, to run this command ls-l. Okay, what shell is going to do is it will take this command and it will tell the operating system, you know, this user requires to execute this particular command, so please do so and give me the results. So that is exactly what a shell is. It's basically an interface where you provide your commands in and it's going to give you the output. Now it's not, it sounds really simple to you that we just input a command and it gives the output, but apart from just executing a single command, you can actually change this different commands together to get a huge complex command executed. So how do you do this is using pipe, or there are other operators as well, but for right now I've just added this particular example here, which is using a pipe operator. So basically your first command, which is sort the file, as the name says, it's just going to sort the file, and whatever are the results of this particular first command, those are then fed up into the second command, which is grepfoo. Okay, grepfoo is nothing but it's going to try and search the foo keyword in the sorted file. So this is also, even though this is like a simple what you say operation to perform, if you want to do this using Windows, you'll have to do certain clicks, open the file, then again if it is an Excel sheet you sort it, and then you do a control F and then you find the stuff, or you add filters to it. But with a shell, you can do this with a single command. So that's how efficient it is. It makes your what you say, it makes you efficient by just, you're just typing out two commands and getting what your desired result is. So apart from this, uh, it executes commands. So that part is clear, I hope. But apart from that, it is also an interpreter. So by interpreter, I mean it can also execute programs, and those programs are called bash scripts. Okay, so when you chain all these commands together, okay, and you write it in a form of a program, okay, those are called script files. And if you supply a script file to a bash shell, it's going to execute it. And if time permits, we shall see this. So let's get going ahead. If you have any doubts, you can put it in the chat. I'm watching here. So I hope this part is clear, like what is a bash shell. Can I get like a thumbs up or some reactions, because it's too silent? Yeah, so moving on. So right now I was just talking about shell, and I was always talking it in the form of a terminal, right? And that is what you were expecting. So I've got a query from Sarthak here, who's asking me to repeat once. Uh, can you exactly explain what I need to repeat? So I'll just give you a summary. So I just started with what is a bash, okay, and bash is nothing but born again shell. Okay, it was developed on another shell which is called born shell and is a superset of it. And what is a shell? You give commands to your shell, okay, it's going to ask the operating systems to perform certain operations for you and then give you the results back, and this is again displayed in a terminal form. So that is a shell. But there's also a different shell that you have been using for quite a while, and that is the graphical user interface. So you guys must have used Windows, right? So that is also a shell. It enables you to execute commands. When you click on a folder, when you're opening a folder, you're actually asking the operating system to open the folder for you. When you're creating a file, again, when you say right click new file, that is also executing a command, but you do that using a graphical user interface. Now similar things you're going to find, similar kind of operations are there in Linux as well. Okay, and Linux particularly uses bash, and bash is, you can say, the essence of Linux. All right, that is what makes Linux powerful and sets it apart from all the other operating systems. And you can imagine, like, Linux was built like years and ages ago, so you can imagine it's still being used. So the way it was developed, it's actually hats off to the developer who has built this particular bash shell, sorry. Because I think nothing much has changed in it. The basic operations still remain, some additional functionalities are added, but till now this particular software is still going on. So hats off to the developer who has actually created this shell. Okay, let's go ahead. So I already give you certain applications for using bash, okay, but in general we can say that if you want to perform any sort of manipulation with any files or directories where you have a large collection to work on, that is when you should opt for bash. And who is bash I mean, who uses bash more often? So usually it's the software developers, the system administrators. So you might have your IT cells in your organizations and institutes. So there are system admins who actually prefer using bash because it's efficient, as I already proved. And it kind of second reason is that usually your servers do not have a GUI. So the shell being provided is usually a command line interface. So hence these are the guys who sit in the back, actually, who actually use bash very, very often. Another set of people who use this is network engineers, and we'll see why they use this, because there are certain network commands which are pretty powerful in bash. And finally it's hobbyist or someone who's just into those matrix movies, who's like, I want to show off, so let me do it in a terminal, sort of. So such people kind of go with bash. And then we'll see now how does a bash work. So as I already mentioned, bash is just going to use a simple command. Okay, so you give a command to the terminal, to the prompt. It's going to read that command, execute it, fetch you the results, and display it on the terminal. So this is the entire working of bash. That is it. You change the command or you give complex commands to the terminal, it does not matter. It's just going to read your command, execute, display. So that is how a bash will work. And do remember, bash is an interpreter. Okay, so moving on. So there are various flavors of Linux. So Linux of course carries on, but apart from Linux, like using Linux, there are more operating system built on top of it. So these are few of those popular ones actually that are mentioned here. So this is again a question to the audience. So what are the typical actions that you usually perform on Windows or any other GUI interface? So any answers for this, you can type it in the chat. What are the different typical daily operations that you perform on your operating system? So let's just wait for like 5 seconds maybe. No one does any operations on your operating system. You are currently running some sort of an application which is okay. Yeah, so yeah, file creation, making PPT, checking mails, of course, browsing, creating new folders and files. Yeah, so these are the typical day-to-day actions that we perform using a graphical user interface. So let's see the same actions being performed but using a command line now. Okay, so I'll just go through what all commands that I'm going to touch upon. So by that I mean I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of these commands. I'll not go in depth of every options because then that would take like days and months to go over every single command that exists in bash shell. So yeah, we have the first slide of commands, another commands, next commands. It's just commands, and then we'll end. So I hope to touch upon this is my ground that I want to touch upon. So hopefully we can complete this within the stipulated time. So let's get started now, and this is going to be a little more hands-on than you would expect. So maybe I'll okay. Yeah, is the screen visible? Can you? Yeah, I am getting thumbs up from my team here. Yeah. So the first command to start here is echo. As the name suggests, it's just going to echo whatever you want to print. So I'm going to say echo hello there. Right, so it's just going to print hello there. It seems very redundant, like why would you have something like this, but this is actually a very popular command used in bash scripts, particularly when you want to print some error messages or debug something from your bash script. So this is very popular even though right now it seems very redundant. So yeah, that is echo. So echo is the command here and hello there is the argument. Okay, so this is called as the argument, this is the command. This was the first command. So yeah, if you have your own Linux machine or you're using any of the flavors of Linux, if you want to continue with me, like just go along with me, you can do so. And if you have any doubts, please interrupt me there and there, and we can have your doubts. So the next command that we have is man, and this man command is very, very helpful because this is the one command you should not forget. Okay, this command helps you to understand what the other rest of the commands in Linux are going to do. So let's say I do not know anything about echo right now. Okay, it's a clean slate. I'm going to do man echo. Okay, so it's going to open another file sorts, okay, and it's going to describe to me what echo means. Okay, so right now it says the name of the command is echo. What it is going to do is a display a line of text. Okay, the synopsis or the syntax that you're supposed to use with an echo are given over here. So it says echo has two types of syntax. The first is the command name that you're going to give echo. Then you have a short option. We'll come to it what it is. Options over here basically are sort of acting like filters, or they are like adding more restrictions, or maybe even not restrictions particularly, more of filtering or formatting the result for you. And string is what we just saw. So this is the argument that we give. When such what you say arguments are placed inside box bracket, it means that those are optional. You can either give them or even opt out not to give. So right now we went with the second notation, right? We did echo hello there, right? So that was the second sorry, it was the first syntax only, but without the options. So what we have over here, so in options it also lists what kind of options that command uses. So this particular command echo has these options over here. So that is -n, -e, capital E, and it goes on. So there are a lot many options over here. We'll not go over this particular set of options. We'll see few of the options in few of the commands where required, but for right now I think echo is sufficient enough. After coming to man page, you see that it says you have to either press H for help or Q to quit. Okay, so once you are in a man page, you do not know what to do, just read the line below, it will help you out. So it says Q to quit. So I'm again back to my own terminal. So remember, so if you notice, I did not leave the terminal. I was still on my terminal when the file opened. So that's another something about bash. Yeah, so the Linux flavor that I'm using is Ubuntu, and it's Ubuntu 22 version 22, I believe, Jammy. Okay, moving on to the next command. So we have uname here. Okay, -a. Uname is just going to give you system details of what this particular system is. So uname tells you, okay, this is a Linux machine. My machine name, okay, my machine host is named NF, that is my username, ThinkPad E15 Gen 2. Okay, so you'll have something different over here, whatever name you have given to your machine. This is a kernel version. Basically, your operating system uses a very essential component which is called the kernel. Okay, so the kernel version is stated over here, and few more details are given over here, what kind of architecture it is based on and all sorts. So yeah, if you ever want to find your system details, you should use uname. Again, -a over here is an option. Okay, you can opt not to give it, it will still give you just the Linux. So -a is like adding to your command. It can either filter something out or it can just give you more details. Okay, so next command is who. So let's see what who does. Okay, so who tells you who all are logged into your system. Okay, so there's a second command I'll run, and before I explain that, yeah. So who am I also gives me the same thing. Okay, now I mentioned who tells you who, or I mean to say all the users who are logged into your system, and who am I will give you the current user. So whoever runs the who am I command will give you the username of that particular person. But when you run who will tell you all the users that are logged into your system. So in the current situation that I'm in, it's only me who's logged into my system, so hence it will only show one. In case you have multiple users on your system and more of them are logged in, so you'll have a list of users who are logged in. I mean to say the output of who will have a list of users in the results. Okay, so moving on, let me go to, so say that you were typing all these commands out and now you do not remember what you had typed earlier. Okay, So how do you go back? How do you find out what you have ran previously? So I'll type history. As the name suggests, it's going to give me history of the commands that I have executed. So it'll exactly give you the order in which it was executed for this particular session. Okay. So right now, let's say I want to again go, want to execute this particular command. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and type it again. What I'll do is I'll do exclamation, and this is the number that is given, right? So against this particular command, so I'm going to say exclamation 2000, and it's going to execute that command for me. So in case you ever forget any commands and you have just recently executed it, you can switch to history, identify the number, execute it using exclamation, and it does exactly the same thing as it would if you had run that same command. And in case your terminal feels cluttered, just clear it using a clear command. So yeah, this is just a very few overview of few of the commands here. Any questions till now regarding any of these questions, or if you have any questions on man? Man actually stands for manual, so that's just a short for manual. I suppose it is clear. Guys, if you could react, I think I would appreciate that, because I would not understand if you guys are understanding. Really? Oh yeah, how to move in any directory, will come to that when I execute directory commands. But I'm assuming these were simple commands. So I'm assuming everyone got the hang of it. Few nitty-gritty stuff about terminal. How do you open a terminal with a key? Shortcut keys is Control Alt T. So that will open a terminal for you. Okay. Then say if you want to complete a file name or something. So Nano is an editor, okay, a text editor. If I want to open a file over here, I think I have, I don't know what I have. So let me see what I have. Okay, I have some f.text file over here. So if I do if I do not want to type everything, I can use the tab key to auto complete it for me. So yeah, you can use tab and it will give you the entire file name. It was very small over here, but in case you have large file names, tab actually helps. If you just want to know just the previous command or like few commands back, you can use the up arrow keys to just traverse along the history uh, and get to execute those commands here. So just like history, you can directly use up arrow keys, but this is more useful when it is just a recent history. If you have a very huge history and you want to go back a day earlier with your session open, that is, then I think history would be preferable. Yeah. So let me again clear this terminal and move on. Next we have over here is PWD. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to use the second screen over here and get to the flow. So PWD stands for the present working directory. So I want to find out where I am. I do not know where I am. So I'm going to say PWD. So it tells me that I'm in my home folder. So my username is Anf, and so I'm a user in home. So /home/Anf is my home directory. Next command is someone was requesting how to change is okay, sorry, there's another query. Is Mac terminal same as that of Linux? It's not exactly the same, but kind of a variant of it. So it's actually built on top of it. How to, yeah. The Linux I'm using is Ubuntu. So yeah. So next command that we have to see is cd, which stands for change directory. Okay. So I'm just going to change a directory. I know that I have a folder here. So within this particular folder, I have a second folder which is called as bash. So I'm going to go change directory to bash. So how do you like cd? The folder name and you're in. Okay. few shortcuts that you want to remember with CD are as follows. Okay, so let's say I again want to go to I'm just going to create some directory over here. We'll see all these commands, don't worry. I'm just going to create a directory test. Okay. And I'm going to again change my folder to test. So you see, whenever you do a CD, the path actually gets appended over here. Say I want to again go back to my home now, okay, and I don't want to type the entire path over here, okay, so I don't want to type /home/ana, okay, so for that I use a tilde. So you do cd tilde, it takes you back to home. Okay, some shortcuts. Again, if I just want to go to the previous folder I was in, so I do cd hyphen, it takes me back to the folder I was previously in. Okay, say I want to go to the parent of my current folder. So my current folder's parent is bash. So I do cd double dot enter. So I go back to the parent. Okay, and you can also, instead of just giving single paths, you can actually do cd bash. Sorry, there's if you want to say from the current folder I want to go to bash, so you say dot for the current folder /bash, then I want to go to test. If I do this within the single command, you can also directly traverse to your directory. Say you want to traverse completely to a different directory altogether, so there are certain folders, so you can do like var and stuff within the root. So I can go to /var/log. I know that these folders exist, so I can directly do that. It takes me back to this is a complete different folder altogether. Okay, so my actual path was /home/anf, and I'm now on completely different track of /var/log. So again, coming back to my own home folder, this is my home folder. Let me do pwd. I'm back on my home folder. So this is the cd command. Now suppose you want to find out the different kind of lists that are present within my directory, within my home directory or any other folder. In that case, I'm going to simply say ls. So ls actually gives me all the different files and folders that are present within my current directory. Okay, so apart from this, if you want more details about it, so you can say ls-l. Okay, and it gives me the same result, but this time it's with some extra info, and we'll go over this extra info ahead. But yeah, for time being, just note that this is the file name and this is the user who created or owns this particular file. Okay, so yeah, so options kind of help you add more details to it or even remove certain details from it if it's too cluttering. So we have covered ls. Now if you see over here, if I'll just do ls once more. From here, just notice one difference when I say ls-a. Okay, anyone notices the difference? What happened? You can type it in the chat. When you just simply say ls, it did print me a list of files and folders, but when I say ls-a, again it's printing, but there's some additional info coming over here. What is this doing? Any idea? So I'll just carry on. ls-a stands for show all the folders and all the files. Okay, and by all we mean all hidden files also. So when a file starts with a dot in Linux, it's hidden. Okay, you don't actually see this in your graphical user interface as well. So let me show you how it looks like. Okay. So here, this is my home folder. This is the exact list that was being provided. Okay, and there are hidden folders here, but right now they're not. If I do Control H, these are the different hidden files and folders present. So if you see anything starting with a dot, that file is actually hidden file. And to view that, you can use ls -a to view all the hidden files. back to my slideshow. New I don't want a new terminal. The slides will be, I think, not very much useful. It's just for me to present my flow for right now. So, yeah, I think this should work. So this was it for the directory. So we saw how to navigate in a directory, how to see what all is there in a directory. Let's see how to create it. So you just say make directory. This is mkdir, sorry, dir, and whatever name you want to give. So let's give it some name as a secret X. So it's going to create the secret X directory, and how do I see it is ls, and it should come up over here somewhere. Yeah, this is the folder here. So if you don't want to find, like, get this entire list over here, you just say secret X over here. With the tab, it shows, if it is a file, it shows the file. So yeah, this is the secret X actually is a folder and does not have anything in it, so it's showing an empty content so inside it. Maybe I can do ls bash because that has some contents. Yeah, so it will show within the bash folder, these are different files that are already present, so it will show all the files present in bash. And if you do not give the um folder name, it is simply going to assume you want the list of files from the current folder. If you give a dot, again, as I mentioned, dot stands for current folder, so it will give again the list of the current folder. Say now you want to remove this secret X. So removing it, there's a separate command. This is rmdir, and the name of the secret, yeah, it's a small s. Yeah, do remember the file names are case sensitive, so rm high, yeah, this is the folder I want gone. If I do ls now, yeah, it's gone. It's no more. It does not appear over here. So yeah, so these are commands. To commands, there are additional options. If you want to see what options are, just do man rm dir, and you'll get to know what all different options are present. So this is all about directory. And if there are any questions, please interrupt me right now. So, okay, what is SSH login? I'll come to it. A recorded video of it, I think. Uh, yeah. So yeah, this video will be available on YouTube. So yeah, you can view it from there. Man. Okay. So Ruprit is asking what is man RMDIR. So I was just showing audience that man is a command to look for manual regarding any command that follows. So man, you put in any command over here, you say man ls also, it will describe the command to you. So what this command does, how you should use this command, what all options are available with this particular command. So when I did man rmdir, it's actually showing me the description of rmdir, like what this command is, what all options there are. And q2 quick. So I'll move on. The next set of commands in our pile of commands is something to do with files. So how are you going to create a file? So creating a file over here, they do not have like a create call, but it's something called as touch. Okay, so touch, and then you say a file name. So right now I'll just go to maybe bash because I don't want to clutter my home. Yeah, I'm going to say touch and the file name. So what should we call it? Okay, maybe something called as practice. Okay, practice.txt file name. Yeah. So this is going to create a file. I'm going to do ls here, and it should be here. Yeah. So just to prove this was not already here, I'll do it again. So I'll say practice2, and if I do ls here, yeah, the practice2 file is created. There are many other ways of creating file, but we'll look at it when we come to that different commands. For right now, this is the most popular command of creating a file. Now, say you want to remove this. You've done with the creation, you want to remove the file. So it's rm, then the file name again. So I have two files here. So it's gonna, let's go with practice. Let's remove practice 2 and ls again. It's out. It's deleted. Sometimes when you try to delete some files over here, you didn't see any sort of error saying permission denied or something like that. Sometimes when you go in your root folder, uh, some of those files are protected actually. So simply writing rm command will not delete those files. There is something addition to that command that you have to do in order to delete those files, and we'll see that later. It's there in the upcoming slides. So we've done with creation and removing the file. Let's see how to copy a file. So it's a simple command. We go with cp. Then you have to copy it into a source file. The first argument that you give to cp is the source, where you want to copy from. So right now, let me just show you what a file content is. So I'm going to show nano. And let's go with Harry Potter.txt. So this is the text file present. Okay, this is a nano editor. It opens the file in a terminal. To exit it, it shows all the commands here. The notch over here represents the control key. So I'm going to say control X. Okay, so that is the file. And if you see over here, there is no hp.txt file present. So I'm just going to copy the content of Harry Potter file into hp.txt. So if a file is not present, it will create the file. Okay, so it's created. Here is hp.txt. I'm going to do nano, show you the content of hp.txt, and here it is. It created the file as well as copied that file contents to hp. Say I want to copy something else in this file. So let's go with the hello.sh file. So it's just a normal 2-line thing. Now I want to copy hello.sh again in hp.txt, but this time the file is already created, right? So how it works is it's just going to copy it. It's not going to ask you anything. You just simply copy. Now if I do nano hp.txt, file contents are changed. Similarly, so when you pass a file name over here, it's going to take that file from the current directory. If you give it a path, like it can be any path, right? So if you give it a path, it's going to update the file there, the destination, I mean, sorry. And if you want to copy it from another directory also, like say, maybe we go back to our home and we do ls, maybe we have an f.txt file over here. Yeah, so let me copy this file. So I'll go to say from the current directory, this particular file, copy it to bash. Okay, and I want to say it f1.txt. Okay, so it's going to create a file inside. Oh, sorry. When you say slash directly, it says the root. So you have to give the current directory and then slash. It's going to copy over there. We go back to our bash folder, ls. And yeah, f1.txt is created with the content of f.txt. Here it is. So that is cp. So I'm not getting any questions. I'm assuming you guys are understanding this. Next command is the mv command. It stands for moving the file, but it also has a second nature, that is you can use this particular command to even rename your file. So say I want to move this f1.txt back to my home directory. So I'll move f1.txt and I'll move it. I have to go back, right? So I'm going to say dot slash. So my parent directory. So let's move it there. If I do ls now, it's not here. It has been moved to my home directory. So I'll go to my parent, my home directory, do ls over here. and it's moved over here. Okay, so let me remove this. I don't want to have fun over here. Go back to my bash folder. So right now it's bash folder. This is the content. Say I want to rename a file. Okay, so let me rename hp.txt. I'm again going to use the same mv command. Okay, and I'm going to say rename this hp.txt. Okay, rename it to say harryp.txt. And let's do ls and see. Yeah, it's renamed to harryp.txt. So yeah, so there are two things that mv does. It can move a file from any directory, okay, and it can also rename the file to something else. So this was with cat. Now we come inside, sorry, this was with all the things that you do with files. Now we come into what we can do with the contents of the file. So there is a special command to view a file, so it's called cat. Okay, a very different name. Yeah, so screen is lagging behind. Okay, I'll try to go a little slower, maybe that will help. There are several commands coming on nano terminal. Can you please explain them? I think those commands are self-explanatory. uh, if I do nano, it's basically just if you want to do certain things with the file, you're going to use any of these commands. If I want to exit, I'll press Control X to exit. If I want to read a file, it's just going to be Control R, Control K to cut. So if I do select this and Control K, it's going to cut the file. So something like that. I think you can go over this one by one, because if I sit with this, it's going to take hours to complete the session. No. Okay, we're done with this. Yeah, we were on cat. So cat Harry, I do have a Harry file right here. Potter.txt. So cat will display the entire file for you, whatever is the content. Earlier I was using nano editor, right? So it was showing me in the editor form. But if you just want to view the contents, so you can use a cat command, okay, to view the contents over here. If you want, for some reason, you want to change the order of lines and view it, you use reverse of cat. So you say tac, and then again the file name, author or text. So the contents are actually changed over here. So fuming nearly was actually the end of the file previously. This is the command I ran, and now it's completely changed the order. So reverse order. So it's saying fuming here, and this was the second. This was the second last line. It now becomes the second line. So that you can do with tac. So cat, as I mentioned this, it's not only for viewing a file. There are more things that you can do with cat. So one more thing that you can do is you can concatenate files with it. Okay, so and let's first see what I mean by concatenation. So let me do this. Okay, so I'm going to just see my content of file 1.txt. I'll just say hello and some garbage stuff. So this is edited, and file 2, say let's call this, I'm lost for words right now. So yeah, maybe something to recognize. Hello, Andrea. So I have edited these two files and I want to concatenate the both these files. So I'm going to say cat test file 1.txt, test file, and the second file that I want to concatenate. So 2.txt. So cat will give you the result directly on your terminal. It will not edit any of these files. So in the first file, I had written hello, and this was the garbage content that was there in that file. And then test2 file had Andrea with some other more garbage written over there. So it concatenated the contents of both these files and showed me in the terminal. If I check the content of the actual file, that is not tampered with. So that still remains as it is. So text1 file is still as it is. Same with text2 file. Next command that we have now is reverse. Okay, it's not over here, but it's there in my file. So reverse is going to reverse the string that you provide to it. So if I say reverse, that is REV, okay, and I say hello, what's up? It's, oh, sorry, reverse takes a file name. My bad. So let me reverse the file test file. So we saw tag changes the order of the file. It reverses the order of the lines, sorry. And the reverse over here actually reverses the string. Each and every line that is present on the file is reversed. So my name is actually spelled backwards right now over here. So that is what a reverse does. Uh, Earlier we saw that cat will print the entire file content over here. Say you have a very huge file. This was a very small file. You have a very huge file. So in that case, you just maybe want to check only the top portion of the file. Say so in that case, you will use head. Okay, so head and then the file name. So the biggest file that I right now have is harrypotter.txt. So when I do head, it's only giving me some part of the file. Okay, so remember that uh, it was ending with fuming nearly headless Nick, but right now it's just giving me till hello Nick. So it just gives you few lines of the file, and by default it gives you 5. If you want more, you can say head. Okay, give it an option of n. Let's say I want 8 lines, and then the file name. Okay, so it's going to now give me 8 lines. So yeah, so it's giving me more content than it was previously giving me here in head. Okay, now this was head. If you want from the bottom side, like you don't want the top portion of the file, you want the bottom portion of the file, so there's an alternative. So there's tail, like you have head, you have a tail, and then again you give Harry Potter, let's say. So yeah, so it's giving me the last 5 lines of the same file, Harry Potter. So these are the last 5 contents. Uh, if you want to read the file, but you do not want it printed completely, you want to scroll through the file properly. So you use something called as more. So more, and then again the file name. Okay. So the sound that you keep hearing is because I'm pressing tab, so it's trying to autocomplete. So you see that right now it's just showing me the 45% of the file, right? So if I do enter, 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 it's going to give me more content. It lets me scroll and whatever I want, I'll do. Okay. And if I want to end this, I'll do control, sorry, Q, sorry, no control, just Q. So this was more, and there's the counter for more, which is less. Okay, so less again, Harry Potter file name. So this time you see you don't get that percentage over here, but it lets you scroll up and down in this case. Okay, so here you find all the files, and you can also go up. In that case, it was not that. It would just keep printing, 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 and then scroll. But in this case, it's just like a different nano editor, but you can only view it, no editing. To opt out of it, you have to press Q. And last command in file commands that we'll be visiting is WC. So for some reason you want to, for some application, maybe you want to count the words or the lines in a file. So you say WC, the file name, and this is going to give you some output. What it is, I'll explain. So this particular file has 28 lines. Okay, it has 578 words. It has 3,323 characters. Okay, this is the file name. if I want to go with a very smaller file, maybe. So it has 3 lines, 4 words, and 34 characters. I'll show that one over here. Maybe I'll cat it, not nano it this time. Yeah. So there are 3 lines. One, this is a second line, and then this is a third line. So 3 lines. There are 4 words, and so this particular is a script file. So yeah, you don't count this in. Just count this one, and hello.sh is the file name. So this is all about file commands, and I think we have covered. Yeah, there's a little. So we've covered all these commands right now. I'd like to take some questions right now. Any questions regarding files, directories, or any of these commands over here? Mm, please try. Like, if you have not understood, I'll explain it to you again because this session is for you guys. So I'll try to repeat the commands if you want. Okay. Moving ahead. So we saw executing only single commands up till now, right? And now let's see how we'll execute multiple commands, not single command. Let's get a little bit complicated. Yeah, this, it's when I close it hides. It's gone again. Where were we? Over here, and this one. So I'll clear my terminal. So we'll start with running multiple commands. So for multiple commands, first thing that we'll see is how we'll run 2 or 3 different commands, irrespective of what each command results into. Okay, so every command can either be successful, that is it will generate the result for you, the desired result, or else it will give you an error. Okay, so when you want to run certain commands, irrespective of whatever their results are, you use a semicolon. So let me maybe I'll create something like let's do ls. Okay, let's do ls and hyphen l, and then I just want to just count my hello.sh file again. So it did the same, whatever it did is exactly the same thing we did earlier, but we were running single commands then. This time we are running multiple commands. So it executed ls-l. So the result is this. Okay, ls-l, and then wc hello sh ka result is over here, the single. Okay, so multiple commands irrespective of their result. This is how you do it. If you think that if the first command executes successfully and only then you want to execute the second command, right? Such situations might occur where you want to first create the file and then you try to edit it, and not directly edit a file which is non-existent. So in such cases you will use ampersand. So let me create a file. So nano file names, file, let's not call it file, let's say QWERTY file. Okay, QWERTY.txt. Okay, I cannot nano it, sorry, I'm gonna make it first. So I'm gonna say touch. Okay, and then I'm going to say ampersand, and let's type something in. So I'm gonna say echo hello, this is great. And I'll come to this operator. For right now, assume that it's going to work its magic and put the text in this particular file. Okay, so QWERTY.txt. So it has created this file. So this is QWERTY.txt. I don't know why there are two same files. So nano and qwerty.txt. Empty. What do I do? Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad. I made two different files. It's QW over here, and I wrote Q. Typed QU. Very bad. So nano. Okay, let me remove this both files. It went wrong. With remove you can remove multiple files. Okay, so I'm gonna say .txt as well. So yeah, it's clear. Okay, I'm gonna run the previous command again. This time with correct name. Okay, and let's check the content of QWERTY right now. And yeah, it's here. So as I mentioned, the first thing that happened is it created this particular file. Since it was able to create this file, it then went on to add contents to this file. Okay, so that happens with ampersand. If in case, say for some if your space is full, if your memory is completely exhausted, touch will return an error. Okay, and in such cases the second command will not run. Okay, it's just like how we do it in programming, right? When you execute certain expressions with ampersand, if the first expression results in false, you do not execute the next expression. So it's the same thing over here. Similar to this, there's or. So or, what it will do is if the first command returns true, it's not going to execute the second command. So we'll see this with the first example that we did. Yeah, ls hyphen l. Okay, but this time I'm not going to say semicolon. I'll call this or. Okay, and let's see the result. So you see, there's only the result of ls. There's no result of wc because the first command executed successfully. It did not execute the next command. If the first command had failed, then the second command would have been executed. It's just similar to how we happen to do it in C. Okay. So that is with running the multiple commands. And let's go to what happens with the redirection operator. Okay. So the redirection operator, the first operator we have over here, let me clear this again. First operator that we have over here is the angular. Hmm, the angular bracket. So it's a redirection operator saying that whatever is the content over here, all right. Okay, and I'm going to say arrow and the file that we had QWERTY, right? So this is going to write this particular string in QWERTY.txt. So let's cat our QWERTY file, and yeah, so this is what was printed. Okay, so we are done with the first redirection operator. Let's go with the second, and this time we'll do the same thing. Okay, so but with a different operator and with a different text to understand what is going on. So let's go with A, S, D, F, G, H. Okay, so it's printed, it's done. Let's cat it out again. So yeah, so it's injecting. So both of these operators are doing the same thing, uh, but let's get to know what their difference is now. So let me again run the first one. Okay, first one I'm going to run again. Now this is again the single angular bracket, but I'll change the content over here, and let's see what that does again. And I'm going to cat. So yeah, it's injecting, it's working perfectly fine, right? Both of these are injecting into QWERTY.txt, but there's something different about these two. Anyone noticing what is different over here? I think you can unmute yourself if chatting takes time. Any difference that you have noticed in both of these? You should focus over here, like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly. So as Jatin pointed out, see, when we do a double angular bracket thingy, this operator, it's going to append to the file, okay? And when you say a single angular bracket, it's going to override that particular file. So initially our QWERTY had this injected into it. So this was the first line. When we added this got appended to that file over here, okay? That is why we have two lines. And when I again said I again used a single angular operator, that time it over the content of the file was overwritten. So that is why we again have a single line over here. So this is the difference between the two. Now similar to what we have over here, this is injecting your input to your text file, right? So similar to that, you have something that uh, takes the right hand side and injects into the left hand side. So example would be, maybe the same example can be used. Okay, so I'll do it differently this time. Let's use, let's get to my home directory first. Okay, so cd dot, okay, so to ls we know that if we provide /bash, it's going to give me the content of bash. But see, if I do this way, right, so I'm going to say bash is given to ls, and okay, nothing happened. Not a great example. Um Let me try with w. To this I give f.txt. Yeah, this worked. Yeah, so I'll explain this again once more. So if I first I'll explain what the -l is. So -l f.txt will only give me the lines. Okay, so there were 4 lines in f.txt. Say you have some chain of commands c1, then you have c2, then you have c3. Okay, some chain of commands, and you want to then use a file or give file as an input, okay, but from the right hand side. So you use the angular bracket, okay, this angular bracket, and then you provide the file name. Okay, so that is exactly what I did previously. So instead of saying this, what I'm doing is wc-l to this, my f.txt is an input. So when I do this, it again generates the same result, uh, but this time it is only giving 4 as the answer. It's not giving 4 f.txt because it's done a little bit differently. So yeah, that is angular bracket. Pipe operator is little bit different. So what pipe operator does is, if you have used pipe operators in any of your programming language, it's almost same to that. So mm, so let's try pipe operators. Say you want to count how many files are there within your directory. So we know that ls-l will give us list of the directories. But now you want to count this number, and we also have wc that can count it. So what we'll do is ls-l pipe the output. That means whatever is the output of ls-l, you give this output to the next command that is there, which is wc. Okay, and wc-l because we want to just count the lines. With lines, I mean the files that are present or the folders that are present. So this gives 49. So in all, I actually have 49 lists/directories in my home folder. So this is what pipe operator does. I hope all these operators are clear. Okay, Okay, so Satish is asking for an explanation of the double angular operator. I hope you have understood how the single operator works. Basically, it's going to append the content of the first command in the next command. So let's try an example again. So let's say echo. I'm going to say hi Satish. Sorry, Satish, and I'm going to say we append this to a file. So my file over here that I was using very popular was f.txt. So that actually appends to the file this time. So f.txt, if we check, it got appended at the end of the file. Okay, so that is what this redirection is doing. If I were to say use the same command but with the single angular bracket operator, this time it's going to override that file and it will only carry hi Satish over there. Yeah. Second last one, please. Oh, you mean the output redirector over here. So output redirector, I mean to say the third operator over here, it's doing the same exact, lost it again. Windows, yeah. The example that I was explaining about is if you have any command over here, okay, and to this command you want to provide a file. Okay, I cannot show this for one second. F.txt, right? Yeah. Yeah. If you want to count the lines of this particular file, now this file has only got a single line. Okay, you could have done the easy way out, like you could have just given it a file. But if you want to provide it as a separate input, or if you have a chain of commands and then you want to provide this particular, so it's like this, you'll have something like C1's output is over here, this is C2, C3, and to this you provide some file or whatever is the input. If you want to do something like this, you want to pass the input from your right end and to your actual command in the left, that is when you use this particular operator. And for this I was using the example of uh, wc-l. To this I was passing a file name, this. Maybe I can also do concatenate. So we know cat uses three, can concatenate two files, right? So let me create one file, call it f1.txt. Okay, and to this I will add some name, say my name. Okay, and control X, save it. Yes, I have two files now. Okay, there's f1 and there's f.txt. So let's say cat f.txt. To this now I'm going to say f1.txt. Okay, so yeah, it did not concatenate it though. It just printed out the first one. Yeah. I'm sorry, what? It's okay. I'm sorry. It didn't work out. Sorry. So I think the first one is a better explainer. So even I'm not like full fledged with this particular operator. I don't use it often. I use the other two often. Let me think of a better example. Hmm. What can we do is maybe use a different operator over here and provide. Yeah, let's try this out. ls. Okay, no, my bad. Let's omit this out. Uh, but I hope you understand what that director is meant to do. So it's just going to take the file or the input that you're providing on your right hand side, and whatever is the command on the left hand side, it's going to basically provide that as an input to that particular command. Yeah, my bad. I should have prepared better examples for this one. Yeah. Yeah, so let's move on. Okay, so now we come to networking commands. So these are the very basic networking commands I'll be covering. So let's get to it. Clear my screen. And the first command that I'm going to use is ping. One second. So yeah, we get to ping command. So right now I'm on my network. Okay, this is the LAN connection that we have here in our lab. My computer, I mean to say, the machine that I'm using is a laptop, and I have a second desktop over here on my side, whose IP address is 10.129.152.41. Okay, so ping command actually sends a packet to check if this particular machine at this particular IP address, whether it is receptive or not, whether it is working or not. So let's ping my desktop machine, and yeah, it is working. It is giving me, it's sending me the ping messages back. So yeah, that's it for this particular command. If you want to anytime what you say, want to terminate your command, you want to stop a command, the option, I mean the keys for it is Control C. Okay, so that's what I did. It keeps pinging it for n number of times. If I want to cut it out, I'll say Control C and it will stop. And then it gives me the result of whatever was transmitted. So it says that in all total 5 packets got transmitted and 5 were received. So even my desktop machine sent me 5 packets back, and there's a 0% packet loss, definitely. And then there's a time delay of 4000 milliseconds roughly. So that's ping. Someone wanted to know how we define, how we actually SSH into machines. So when you have servers and stuff and you want to work remotely, so when I want to work remotely, I want to access my machine. So what I do is I'll say SSH. Okay, so this is a protocol. I say SSH, then you give the username. Okay, so username on my desktop machine is Andrea. Okay, remember my username over here was Anif. Okay, so my desktop machine has the name Andrea, and I'm going to again give my IP address. So Andrea is at which IP? So 10.129.152.41. Okay, so this is my IP address. I'm going to say enter, and it's going to ask me for my password of the remote machine. That is my desktop machine right now, right? So over there, I'll just input my password. So whenever you type in your password, you're not going to see any characters over here. Okay, it never shows characters, but I've entered my password, and this is the message that you get. Okay, so I had already done SSH with my machine earlier, so this is why it just simply asked me for my password, and I entered. In case you are SSHing into a different machine or a new machine for the first time, you might get a prompt asking you to add it in one of those network files. You just say yes. Okay, it just adds some keys or something, and you can SSH into your remote desktop machine. So say you're at home and you want to access your system in your institute, SSH is the way to go, unless it is what you say, blocked by your firewall. So that was SSH. So right now, if you see, this is my desktop machine. The home is different. If I do ls, completely different set of folders will appear over here. Let me, to prove it to you, I'll just count it out. ls-l wc-l. So the folders, I mean the file over here are 52 currently in my desktop machine, which is just next to it. So this is how we do it. And let's say I want to come out now. I want to go back to my machine. So the current machine I am. So I'm going to say exit. So it exited and says that the connection to this particular IP is closed. Okay. So this was one way. Now say if you want to access the remote machine, but this time you want to copy paste certain files from your current machine to your remote machine or vice versa. Okay, so the command for it is scp. Okay, and I'll show you the syntax. So let's say we want to copy the f.txt file. Okay, so ls f dot, oh sorry, not ls, cat. So contents are hi Satish. If I SSH into my old machine, the desktop machine, if I do ls, there's no f.txt present over here. If it was, it should have been over here. Okay. So just to prove it to you, this is not a trick. I'm going to exit it. Okay, so scp. So what I want to copy right now is from the current folder, I want to copy f.txt file. Where I want to copy is, so it is again Andrea at the rate, the username of the machine, the account that you want to copy to, the IP address 41. Okay, then you give it a colon. Okay, then you give it a path. So I want to go to /home/Andrea. Okay, or maybe, yeah, so I can go to /Andrea, and yeah, this is the place where I want to copy this particular file. So I'm going to say scp. Now again it's asking me for my password of the desktop machine, the remote machine. So I'm going to give it the password, and okay, nothing. So it says that it's copied. If it was a huge file, it would show it loading, but it was just like small file. So let me again SSH into my machine, right? And let's see if f.txt is present. Yeah, it is over here. Here it is. And let's cat it out what the contents are, if it is the same file or not. It is the same file. It has hi Satish. So I hope scp is understood. If you want to do vice versa thing, it's the same thing. If you want to copy it from the remote machine to your own machine, you just change the source and destination. So this part will come here and this part goes here. So that's how you interchange. It's going to do the same thing if you want to copy from the server. scp is done. The next in order is curl. So curl command actually uses a library underneath. Okay, and this is particularly used to access websites, or if you want to say upload certain stuff to some sort of an api or to some sort of a website. And curl actually works on many different protocols. So to list few of those, it has http, it can support ftp, imap, pop3. So imap, pop3 are for emails. It can also support sftp for file transfer, http is for website access, telnet and ftp. So these are the various protocols it can support. Okay, and let's call something. So let's call, let's say, the eYIC website, that is the Yantra ID of competition. So we say https://eyic.e-yantra.org. Okay, so the content that you will see over here is an HTML file, but it will not be rendered because terminal can only give you text. It will not show you the graphics. But this is exactly what the file is. Okay, I've coded this particular file. I know this is the exact file that I've done. So it says it is the eYantra Innovation Challenge competition file. Then again, if I want to say, I want what to say, maybe some other website that you want, like let's go with Google directly. So let's say call https://google.com. So yeah, so this is what Google is giving to me. So it says that so 302 is some HTTP status code, but this is the response that I'm getting. It is another HTML page which has 302 as the response code. So this is curl. Okay, so similar to, so using curl you can also download stuff. Okay, so for that I wanted to use an example of downloading a huge file, because curl actually gives you a nice progress meter over here if you want, but that will take time. So let's skip that part for now. I hope you have got the gist of what curl can do. Similar to curl, we have something called as wget. Okay, so wget also does the same thing. It's also going to download stuff for you. Whatever URL you provide, it's going to download that stuff for you. So you would think that curl and wget are the same thing, right? Because they are going to actually access the internet and get stuff downloaded for you. But there are certain differences among both of these. Okay, so wget, when you say, so let me uh, yeah, so wget will help you download stuff from the server. Curl will also help you download stuff, but it will also help you to upload stuff to the server. So curl is both ways, wget is only single way. wget has limited protocols that it supports, and those are just http, https, and ftp. So that's wget's limitation. But then why wget was made if you already have curl? So wget has one what you say special property, that is it is non-interactive. First of all, if you just send it a command, okay, if I say wget get me this huge file, uh, okay, so http://portal.yantra get me some OVA image or something. So it will start downloading it, and even if I log out from my system, it will run, it will keep running in the background. Okay, so it's non-interactive. It will keep downloading even if the user logs out from his session. So it will, so say if you want to have a cup of coffee, just use a wget. It's a huge file, it will keep downloading. You can log out, go have a cup of coffee, come back, and your file is ready. So that is with wget. Now we come to tar and zipping. I think many people might be interested in how to what do you say compress your files, apart from right clicking it and then compressing the files. So for tar, let's get to bash folder again. Okay, so I had these files prepared for this particular thing. So one specific command, which is tar. So you must have heard of tar.gz or zips, right? So those are called the archived files, where you compress files into a zip file. So in order to create a zip file, say, you will use this tar command, but to it you will use some options. So what are those options? You'll use C, B, F. Okay, so these are the different options that you are going to use, and the files that we want to zip, say, is test. Okay, test file 1 dot txt. Okay, so this is the file you want to zip. So file name comes here, and one second, dot tar maybe, and then the file name and dot txt. So yeah, so tar, and then let me ls. I'll come to the options quickly. So it's created this zip file for me, not zip particularly, but a tar file, because I named it like that. So to tar, we give these options. The zip file name, I mean this, after archiving it, what should be the file name, and then the file name of the actual file you want to zip. So this is the command for it, and let me explain the flags now, the options. So C is to create the file, V is to give you a verbose thing of what it is doing. Okay, so it told that test file 1.txt was the one that it was working on, that is V, and F is to give it a file name. Okay, so say I want to tar multiple files, so let me just do tar test file 2.txt test file dot. Okay, so as I mentioned, so we have 3 files to archive right now. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and let me show you. So V is the one that is actually creating this for us. F is again creating this file for us with the same name now, and it has now got 3 files in it. So right now we have this file over here. Let's see if those contents are actually present. So what we want to do is we want to untar it, want to unzip this file. So we'll say tar, okay, hyphen x. Okay, x now stands for extract, V and F. okay, and the file name, the zipped file name actually, which is test file one dot. It's again going to unzip these files and it's going to show us these files. Now these files will be replaced. I should have unzipped in a separate folder, but yeah, it works. So maybe I can copy it in a different folder and show it to you guys. So copy command is this. I'm going to copy it in, say, I'm going to create a separate folder. Oh yeah, CD. What should I say? Archive folder maybe. Yeah. So it's copied it in the archive folder. Let's go to archive. Oh, it didn't create a folder. Sorry, my bad. It's a file. I'm going to create this folder first. Okay. Now run my command. Let's name this file test file and okay, so it's copied now. Now I traverse into my folder archive ls this. So this is our tar file, and then we decided that we'll archive. Yeah, this is this, and now we do ls. So we are now in that archive folder we just recently created, and this was the tar file we were archiving. So there's just one option difference that we did, that was X is to extract that particular file. If you want to say zip it into a particular format like gzip or something, there's an additional flag that you can give. So that flag is Z. So it's the same command. So instead of X, we have C when we are creating it. And if you want to zip it, if you want to use the gzip format, so you can say Z. Okay, that's an additional command, and it will create a zip file for you instead of a tar file. So you can say gz.tar, or you can say zip file, and then give the file names. It'll do the exact same thing, but the compression format is different in this case. So let me skip that for now. So tar over here supports many different formats, and which all format it supports, you can find it on your own with the help of man. Okay, and there's another special command, zip. Okay, so zip exactly does the same thing as tar. Okay, but this is just going to zip. So it's going to directly give you a .zip file. So if you say maybe call it zip, let me. This is the correct folder I'm running. Text.zip file, and then I do have a file here, I think. Test file one.txt. So I'm going to say zip, name the zip that is going to be created as zip.text, test.zip, and test file.txt. So it's going to say yes, it's adding this particular test txt file. Okay, and it's created the zip file. So ls, and here it is. And to unzip, it's the opposite way. Very simple. Test. So it's going to say replace test file one.txt because we already have it over here, right? So it's asking me if I should replace it or says I'm saying yes. So it's going to again replace that particular, unzip it and replace this particular file. So yeah, this was all about archiving, unarchiving, and networking and downloading stuff. Any questions regarding this? Okay, so I'll move on. So I think the session is extending for quite a while. I'll try to wrap it up as soon as I can. So there are few more commands to visit, but I think we'll only look at the important ones right now, and the rest I think you can. There is plenty of material out there, so you can find it out. So right now I'll just go over some main commands. Um, so one particular tool or package that you should be knowing in Linux particularly is apt, okay, apt, and it is actually advanced packaging tool. Okay, so what this tool does is it does all packaging stuff and maintaining all the uh, applications that are installed on your operating system. Okay, so by maintaining I mean it will perform upgrade for you, it will perform installations for you, it will check online if there's an upgrade available for you. So all this stuff is what apt will look after, and for that it so behind apt is like a huge resource. Okay, so this resource is just nothing but like a list. Okay, so it's got a list of repositories from where it's going to pull all of these applications. Okay, so this was all about apt app. Okay, so there's something called as apt-get. So apt-get, which is not exactly the same, but the operations that are performed between these two are same. So apt is actually having the common operations which people usually performed with apt-get. So all the popular and common operations that were performed with apt-get, they were all packaged together in app. Okay, so you can directly use app to update your operating systems and install stuff over here. So before, like, if you are a participant in our competition or in any other competition, or if you are trying to install any software, so first thing that you do is you will say sudo, ignore the sudo for now, I'll explain what it is. Sudo apt update. So this is what you usually perform. It's asking me for my password. Yeah, so what it is doing right now is it's trying to get back to its list of repos. Okay, and it's trying to see if I have got any updates for any of the packages I have installed. Okay, so right now if you see, it's actually trying to hit few of these urls. So these are all repos from where it actually gets all these applications for you and installs them for you. So the first thing usually when you're installing is we try to update our list. So we should have always have an updated list of repos, right? So it's going to update, then you can say sudo apt and install. So install whatever you want. So right now I can't think of any package to install, but if you have not installed git, you can say git, and if you have not installed curl, maybe you can say curl. Even if I have this installed and even if I click on this, it will check my my local system and check if I already have git or curl. If I already have it, it says that well, you are already at the topmost level of your curl version, so it is stating over here. If that was not the case, it will install the most I mean to say the newest version of curl for me. So that this is all about app install, app update, and there's something called as app upgrade. So what app upgrade does is app upgrade will upgrade the packages for you. Okay, and there are certain packages which you do not want. Okay, so for that you have a separate command which is apt remove. You might not use these two commands very much, but uh, just an additional information that there is something called as apt upgrade to upgrade your packages, like whatever packages are installed, those will be upgraded. Okay, and apt removes to remove whatever package you want to get removed, and there's something called as apt auto remove, which removes whatever packages are unused. So there are certain packages sometimes which are left unused on your system, so it will detect those and remove it for you. So that is auto remove. So these are few commands, but those commands you might, I don't know, you might use them for a very less frequently. The popular ones are these three. And in Linux you have something called as user and groups. Okay, so user, by that I mean uh, I am a user of this system, so my name is, the username here is anf. Okay, if I had a separate say user created for my this particular machine, then I mean to say you can add users to your actual system. You can have groups in your systems. So by groups I mean the 2 or 3, maybe multiple users together form a group. Okay, so grouping system is not present in Windows, but in Linux you have groups. And then there is something called as pseudo user. So pseudo user is someone who's like a supervisor. Okay, so they have superpowers basically. Okay, so with sudo, when you run any command with sudo, it means that you have the entire power, entire control of all the components in your system. Okay, so that is why when you run an app command, because it is installing your softwares and stuff like that, it's going to lock these files. Okay, so sometimes you might get errors like this particular lock is being used by someone else, so I cannot use it. So when you use sudos, usually this gives you more importance, and you can run any command with sudo. Okay, so when I said that when you're trying to remove maybe certain file from the root folder, right? So the root folder actually belongs to the root user, okay, the sudo. So when you're trying to delete files from those folders, usually it will not allow you to do with this particular account, the ANF account. Okay, so in order to get those superpowers for yourself, you use sudo. So any command that you want to run, and you do not have access to that particular resource or that particular file, and you want to remove that file, say, then you say sudo rm and then the file. There is something called as sudo hyphen I. Okay, so sudo hyphen I actually gets you the root account. So let me do this. So if you see now, I am actually the prompt changes to root and the system is the same. Okay, so this gives me root access. Whatever I run over here, whichever command it is, this is done as me being a root. Okay, so that means I can do anything with my system. Okay, but this usually try to avoid running this particular I mean to say running this particular terminal in a sudo user mode. Okay, why is that so? Because if you type rm and if you're removing some files from your root directory maybe, and you're trying to remove certain files, it will not ask you, are you sure, do you want to remove this? And it may be some important file that your system might be using. So it is better that you actually use the normal system that we have, that is our normal account. Okay, and you try to give that account some privileges, the sudo privileges. So for that you have this particular keyword sudo, and with that if you run any command, it will it will give you basically the root privileges only for that particular command, and after that again the privileges are lost. So that is what is sudo. So let me just show you how to add users to your system. So let me, yeah. So let me have my screen here, and yeah, this I can ready. So if you want to add, first thing is you cannot simply add. So if I say the command for you adding users is user add. Okay, if I want to add Bakugo, which is a character, okay, it'll say permission denied. Okay, because I do not have privileges. So what I have to do is I have to use sudo. So sudo user add Bakugo. Okay, so it's added, the users are here. Okay, and suppose if I want to delete it, so how should I delete that? Is again you have to use sudo. You cannot just simply delete any user. So user del Baku. So the user is gone. So this is how you add and delete a user. If you want to add a group, it's the same similar command, but instead of this you add a sudo group. Okay, and that's how you create Bakugo. Sorry, so in this case Bakugo now turns out to be a group, it is not a user. So maybe I can say this is a Bakugo group. Okay, and again to delete it, it's again sudo group del Bakugo. Okay. So if you notice, I didn't show you if Bakugo was actually added or not. In order to do that, you have to actually go to a specific file, and I think that is in etc passwords, I think. You do not want to tamper with this particular file because this file stores the password. Okay, and if you want to check if any user is present or something, you have to actually access this particular file and see if that user is present or not. So I have got so many users here, and one particular here is Anif. Okay, so this is one user. So let me again go create Bakugo this time for you, and again go back to this file. It should be appended at the end. There you go. So this is another user that was created within my system. And if I use the delete command again now, Bakugo is deleted. So yeah, this file, please do not try to edit this file because there are passwords here. If you tamper this file, you may not be able to access your system. So yeah, this was all about users. If you want to find which all groups your particular user is in, so you can say groups. So my particular user, that is Anif, is in ADM, cdrom, sudo. Okay, so that is why I can use sudo. Okay, Bakugo does not have, so Bakugo I deleted, I'm sorry. If I had not deleted, if you want to check the groups of Bakugo would not have been in sudo. So you'll have to explicitly add Bakugo in sudo group so that Bakugo as a user can use the sudo command. So I think that's about groups, users and groups. If you ever want to change your password, say, so you can just use the password command. Okay, I don't want to change my password, so I'll not use this command. So you can just say password and then the username, it will change the password for you. So that's it for, I think, this particular slide. Any queries regarding this? So Jatin, I am assuming you're from some sort of a team. Right now is not the time for me to explain how to install ROS. Okay, you can ask that queries online in the discussion forum. People will help you out, but this is not the platform for it. So yeah. So I hope this part is clear. Like you have understood app and user groups. Any queries regarding the commands that have been just discussed? So I'll just move on. I'm getting used to like quickly. Okay, so Karthik wants me to explain the CVF part. Okay, so when you say tar hyphen CVF, okay, and then the zip file. So whatever file name that you want to, whatever you want the name of the file to be, the zip file's name. So let me call this is the zipped file. Okay, the zipped.tar or whatever it is, and then whatever files you want to add, f1, f2, f3, whatever files are there. This hyphen c over here tells tar you want to create a file. Okay, because tar is a command that you can use to zip a file also and unzip a file also. So specifically to tell tar you are creating a zip file, you say hyphen c. If you want to see what tar is actually performing or what kind of files are being compressed, you say v stands for verbose. Okay, and f is to give a file name. Okay, if I say f, the next instant that I have over here, the next argument that I have over here is the file name that I want to give. If you're ever curious about any of the options that you come across, you can just say man tar. This will give you all the options that are there for tar. So whatever I actually explained right now, I studied it from here. So you can do the same and get to know what it is. So that was with CVF. Okay, if you want to try unzipping it, you have to say -x. X is for extracting, V is for verbose, like what all files are being extracted, and F again because you want to give a file name to the tar. So that is XVF and CVF. Okay. I'll come to redirection. I'll just complete the next slide maybe. I hope I have time. Yeah. So that was the main like crux. We come to file permissions now, and I'll explain file permissions a little later because these commands are pretty much easier than those. So if you ever want to know what all processes are running on your system, you type ps. Okay, so ps will give you whatever current processes are running. So right now I have my bash. Okay, bash is a process, and even ps, actually the command which is executed actually is a process. So any command that you execute here is a process. If I want to know the overall processes running on my system, I'll say psaux. I will give me all the processes that are working over here. Okay, so huge list will come up. This will tell the owner of the process, okay, who's running what. This is my root user who's running all these files backend me. So let's not like dwell into what all these are. To get to know more like what each thing stands for, maybe Google search will help you. For right now I'll just like skim through this. Say you want to know your system characteristics or the load on your system, so you say top. Okay. The top will tell you so initially it will tell you what tasks are there, total tasks that are there, how many are running, how many are in the background. uh, so then you'll have stats related to your CPU. These are some stats related to the average execution time and stuff like that. This will tell you your RAM, the memory that is being used. So total over here is 16. So these are in MB. So this is around 16 MB RAM with this much MB, which is free. Then you have virtualized memory, which is called the swap. So the all those stats are displayed in the first 5 lines of your top command, and then the next list that is coming up here will show what each of the processes which are running over here are occupying. So one process over here, Chrome itself, actually I have 3 or 5 actually processes of Chrome running here, uh, who, who who are actually utilizing my CPU around maybe a rough of 50 to 60% of the CPU is being utilized by my Chrome tabs. So it will show you such details. Now this particular thing comes in handy when you want to know which process is blocking some other process, or maybe has acquired a port which you want to use. So in that case you want to terminate that process because you do not want that particular process to access that port. So let's like just have an exercise. Maybe I'll just escape out of this. Okay, so let me turn on Firefox because maybe that will be easier to get on PX. So let me open Stack Overflow very public here. So I have a Firefox process now running. Okay, so let's check PS first. I mean to say PS Fox. That will not. Okay, this is not going to help. Let's do it with top only. So grep is another command that you can use to search. Okay. So yeah. So what I did was I said give me top's output, feed it to this grep command. Grep is like a search. Okay. So it's searching Firefox in my whatever is the output of top, and it's printing over here. So I came to know, like this is ongoing. So I came to know that there is a Firefox process and whose process ID. So every process that is created on your machine as a process ID is this. Okay, this is the first one over here is the process ID. Yeah, I think someone's unmuted. I can hear my echo. Any questions? Hello? Hey! Okay, moving on. So I know that my process ID is this, and say for some reason I want to kill this process ID. I do not want it running. So there's this command called kill. Now, what it says is, even though it says kill, yeah, it does kill, but it's not like stabbing the process or anything. It's going to send it a signal. Okay. So basically, the kill command actually sends a signal to the process, that I don't want you running. Please stop. So there are different signals that you can send to your process. So I'm just going to send the default one, so which is just terminate the process for me. So I'll say kill, and then I'm going to give it the process ID. So I'm going to say copy paste, enter. It terminated the process. We saw the Firefox closing, right? So that was terminating the Firefox. If I again say that this time, let's do it with a different command, not the kill command specifically. Say you do not want to do this. You do not want to find the PID, but you know for sure that your process is Firefox. Okay. So you have some partial identification for the process that you want to kill. So for that you use pkill, and then you say Firefox, and it will again kill that process for you. So these are the two commands I think that I had in my slide. Yeah. So we are here. So yeah, so we've discussed these 4 commands. So when you're in your competitions or anything, and if you get an error that a port is being used by some process, so you try to find which port is being, which process is using this particular port, and then you just use a kill command to kill that process so that your port is free to use. So now we'll come to this particular permissions slide, and I think I'll need slide for that. And let me also have the terminal. Let me go back to my bash folder. So remember I said ls-l gave me this huge result, and I said we'll discuss this. So we'll discuss this now. So with a file, there are 3 things that you can do. You can read a file, write to that file, or you can execute that file. Okay. So how do you, what do you say, represent this in the form of inside a terminal? So you do that with this set of characters that are over here. So the first file that you see, archive, okay, it's actually a folder, right? So it's a folder, so hence it's got a D first. Okay, if it was a file like files.zip is a file, so there's a dash. So the first character in your ls-ls output will tell you whether it's a directory, it is a link, it is a file. Okay, so depending on whatever character here it is, it will indicate whatever type of resource it is. It is a file, folder, or whatever. The next thing that we come to see, okay, the next 3 characters. Okay, consider next 3. So as I mentioned, this is read, write, x is execute. Okay, the first 3 characters will tell you what the user can do with this particular resource that is there. Okay, so each of this I'm calling it a resource. So the resource can be a file or a folder or anything. So for this particular archive resource, you can, me as a user, okay, I can read that file, I can write, and I can execute. Now you would say, for a folder, why would you need an execute command, right? So remember we do cd folder, right? So basically you're trying to execute that particular command with this particular folder. So that is why you have a execute permission over here. So these 3 permissions are for me, the user and if. Okay, The next three permissions that are there, again, which is read, write, execute, those are for the group. Okay, and the group is given by the this particular column that you see over here. So this is the owner of this resource, this is the group of that resource. So the group I belong to is ANF only, so hence it is ANF. And the last three permissions that you see here are for others. So if there are other users on my system and they want to access this particular file, they will have to have, they'll need permissions from this control. So and if there was any other user on my system, they will have read and execute permission on my archive folder. They won't be able to write to this particular file. So similarly, now there is a zip file or any other file if we consider. So this one only has read write permissions on this particular file. There's no execute files. There are special files which are the script files that you can execute. But if you see, this is the file. So this is a script file to which actually I have given the execute permission. Okay, so I'll show you how to make your script files executable. For right now, any file that you create is only going to have a read and write permission. Okay, and it will follow this order only. It will be the owner first, then the user, then the group, and then the others section. So this is exactly what this slide is explaining over here. And to this, so one thing is you can either use characters, okay, or you can actually use numbers, and we'll come to it later on. So let me first execute the command that is actually using all these theory that we just saw right now. So in this bash folder, I have three files. Okay, so there are four script files which are ending with .sh. Okay, so let me just nano into hello.sh. We have already seen this file. Okay, this is called a shebang or a hashbang, and I think there are many other names, but popular ones are this. It's called a shebang or a hashbang, and this is used to tell the shell which kind of interpreter I'm using. So bash is not the only interpreter that is there in the world. There are many other shells also. Okay, so in order to tell ki, run the script with a bash terminal, bash shell script, we have to write this is something called as shebang basically. So it starts with an exclamation, a hash, exclamation, and then the path of the shell that you're using. So this /bin/bash, and then you start with the actual program. So in this case, it's a very simple program. It's just going to print hello world. So right now, if you see, hello world over here does not have execute permission. So let's try giving execute permission to the user, that is ANF. Okay, so how do I do is, I'm going to say chmod, okay, user to user. I'm going to give the execute permission. So I'll say plus changing permissions. So if we now check ls hyphen l, and let me just go to exactly this particular file, and I only want the uh, permissions for those. If you see, for my user, it now has an executable permission. So this means that this file can now be executed in the bash terminal. So how to we execute a script is dot slash hello dot sh. If you remember this dot slash, you must have used this when you compiled your C program and you got an a dot out file. So you did dot slash a dot out. So it's the same thing. Say dot slash hello dot sh, and the program was simply printing hello world. So this is the output of that particular program. Okay, so say now I want to revoke the execute permission for my user. So what I'll do is again chmod, but this time I want to revoke it. So I'll say minus hyphen x, okay, hello.sh. Again, if I try to execute this time, it will not allow because I don't have the permission, because I just removed it. So it's no longer there. So that is how you give permission to a user. Say you wanted to give permission to the, let's say, others. Okay, so you want to give execution permission to others but not yourself for some reason. Maybe you want to try this out. So you will say O. Okay, so to O, I'm going to give execute permission. Change it. Let's check if it is changed. Yes. So others now have an execute and a read permission. Earlier they only had read permission. Now they also have execute permission. Let's again revoke that permission. If you want to send it to a group, maybe even let group also have execute permission. This is again, so your group now has the execute permission. Others I have the execute permission, but you do not have an execute permission. So that is how you change your permissions uh, for your file. So there is a separate way of doing this also, and the separate way kind of only changes this portion of the command. Okay, so how that happens is with a number where you want to give absolute what you say permissions. So right now if you see, it was like very tricky for O. Others I want to give O plus X. If you want to keep on adding permissions, you have to say G plus X or G plus R or whatever. If you want to directly straightforward set a permission, okay, you want to change a permission directly, you can use numbers. And let me just make a quick change. So I'm going to give it 7 5 5. Okay, right now. So let's see what that does. I'll explain what the 755 is. Okay, so what happened over here is when I said 7, what is the binary value of 7? It is 111. Okay, so that means the R flag is 1, the W flag is 1, the X flag is 1. Okay, now we'll come to the next triple bits. So that is given by 5. So 5 is binary value of 5 is 101. So your read flag is 1, your write flag is 0, and your execute flag is 1 again. So that is why you have read, do not have write permission, but you have execute permission. Okay, so this is for the group. And finally for others also it is the same. So it is 101. So even they have read permission and an execute permission, but there's no write permission. So this is how you use chmod. This particular so we were only editing permissions of this particular file, right? Say if you want to change permissions of the folder, and also within it you want to recursively um, check the change the permissions of the folder. So again I'll say the same thing, but this time let me go to a folder. So I have an archive folder here, and for that I'll say hyphen R. Hyphen R is the flag that will recursively change permissions within my archive folder. So if I do this, if I do ls hyphen L archive, so now we have again, so it is 7 5 5. Okay, so within this archive folder, for every file it has changed this particular permission. If I want to change it to something else, maybe say let's go 555, I'll do ls hyphen L, sorry, my bad. I'll just use the above one. Yeah, so it's again changed it to 51011011010. So that is how we can recursively change the permissions of the file. If you completely want to change the owner of the file, so let's go to our old list. So this is our list. If I want to change the owner of archive, so how do I do that is chown, okay, root. So the user is what I'm trying to do is I'm going to change the ownership to root, and then I'm going to say archive, the folder that I want to change, the permissions tab. Oh, file, sorry, folder name. Maybe Harry Potter's. Okay. So it says permission not permitted via my password. So when you're changing the ownership, it will not permit you to do so. So I'll have to get my privilege, right? So I'll use the superpowers from sudo and change this permission, and let's see ls and Harry. potter.txt, and now root is the owner. Andrea is no longer the owner for Harry Potter.txt. If I again want to change it back to myself, I can do so. That's also possible. Let's get it back and done. So this is how you change ownership. Similar to ownership, you can change group with chgrp to change the group, and it will only change this particular value for that particular file. And I think that completes the session. And let me clear one more thing, because it might end up in the quiz, is I forgot to mention something, which is something to do with removing a folder. So with RMDIR, if you have an empty folder, it will allow you to delete it. But if you have a folder like archive, which was completely, it had some contents in it, it will not allow you. So RMDIR only works on an empty folder. If you want to delete a folder which has some contents in it, you have to use rm that you used with a file with -r command, sorry, -r option, and that will delete the file. So right now it says descend into write protected directory archive. Because I have changed permissions, it'll ask me all these questions. So right now I'm just going to say yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's going to say permission denied. Okay, I'll say okay, let me acquire these, and that's the trick. So archive is no longer there. So yeah, I think this covers what I set out to cover. uh, there are certain script files I wanted to run, but I think we'll end up taking your lunch time also. So yeah, that's it for this particular session. I hope you embrace the power of command line. Thank you. I'm still here for questions if you have any. I guess they are waiting for the quiz. You have a question? Okay. So my colleague here, Amit, would like to give you some details regarding the EYIC competition. That's the innovation challenge. So I guess, Amit, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'll share my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I know we have taken more than the required time, so I'll keep it very brief. And yes, so I'm going to talk about the innovation challenge that eYantra organizes every year, and this is the 9th edition of the challenge. The challenge is open to all students currently in PhD or BTech or masters or different domains. And if you're not aware of this channel, it will just take you 3-4 minutes to understand what this is all about. And the registrations are ongoing, so that's the reason we are here to tell you all about it. I'll play a short video to give you an introduction, and then I'll go into the
The eYantra Innovation Challenge is a competition that trains students in innovation and entrepreneurship. It nurtures young minds to articulate real problems in society and to solve them using technology. It immerses participants in problem domains and helps them articulate problems which then they solve and use the solutions as a basis for startups. It's a platform to showcase solutions to incubators and to build your dream startup. Guidance is by eYantra engineers and industry experts. So join us. Registrations begin on the 1st of September every year. Join us to solve real problems using technology and to engineer a better world for all of us tomorrow.
So that was our principal investigator, Professor Kavi Arya, who gave you the introduction about the innovation challenge. And this year, we are happy to announce that we have collaborated with a lot of partners like Deutsche Bank, Sign, which is the official incubator at IIT, IIT Roorkee, then IIT Tirupati, the GIC Hub at IIT Bombay, the Decide Sethi School of Entrepreneurship, again at IIT Bombay, CEPT University, Design Bridge Foundation, and IDEA, which is Inclusive Division Entrepreneur Association. So all these partners will help you around the competition to in different ways. It could be in the form of mentorship, live sessions, review sessions, and all those things. So this the competition is divided into two themes, and let me tell you that you don't have to select the theme when you register. So you can select one of the two themes, that is sustainable and advanced technologies for helping urban inclusivity or agriculture. So although it's written that the registration ends on 25th, we have extended it to 30th September, and you have still 3-4 days to register and complete all the details. The more I'm sorry, I'll just move to the next slide first. Yes. So in this theme, that is sustainable and advanced technologies for helping urban inclusivity, even if you're not aware of what this theme is all about, we are going to talk about it in detail in the first 1 month of the competition. We are going to give you different MOOCs to help you understand, and those MOOCs will first help you to empathize with this theme. And then also there would be certain MOOCs in the form of in domains like Internet of Things, product design, robotics, automation, then geographic information systems. And in this theme, mainly we like to focus on two different categories, which is assistive technology and universal design. So in the first sprint, you will get trained, and in that training sprint, at the end of the training sprint, you will submit a proposal to us, which will detail that this is what you want to solve, and this is what you're planning to solve. And after that, you move ahead to the next sprint, which is the prototyping sprint, in which you give us a proof of concept. And in the next sprint, you move to the innovation part, in which we are going to give you certain more MOOCs, which will help you in innovation and entrepreneurship. And you would be able to answer questions and develop a pitch deck for the incubator. That will be the first draft of your of your pitch deck. And after that, in the final sprint, which is the implementation sprint, you will work towards all the things that you have done in the past 6 months, and you will make a pitch deck as well as your final technical demonstration. So all these things are again mentioned in detail on our website in the schedule tab. You can go through that. And the participation criteria is that it is open to all students from all streams. Your team can have a maximum of maximum of 4 and minimum of 2 members, and one additional guiding faculty. So a total of 5 people can be in a team. And the participation criteria can be, you can have teams from multidisciplinary domains as well. Like you can have people from BA or BCom or PBA, things like that. And there will be one leader which will be the SPOC for your entire team. So that would be responsible for making payments and all those things. So the benefits are that you get a total pool of 1 crore startup seed funding if you reach the finals, and this will help you to develop your product further with the help of the incubator, which is signed at IIT Bombay. And you will get 25 lakhs, a total pool of 25 lakhs prizes as well as goodies if you win in the competition. And of course, you will have the opportunity to build your skills in IoT, GIS, product design, and robotics. So these are some of the startups which we have listed here who have come through the e-Yantra competitions, like Drone Automations, Catamaran Technologies, Surveyon, Heaven Designs, Carloman Systems, DroneLog, and Ramo. You can Google them up and you will get to know all about them in detail. These are all the startups which have come from participants of the e-Yantra competitions. So the registrations are still ongoing. You can visit the website. We have put it already in the chat. And even though it's written 25th September, there's an extension for 5 days. And you can use this referral code for additional 10% discount since you have attended this session. I'll put this referral code in the chat as well. So that's all for EYC. I'll hand over the floor back to Gargi.
Thank you for being patient. We are just sharing the quiz link. Please attempt the quiz link. Guys, yeah, so I've shared the quiz link. Please submit it within 10 minutes. And thank you, Andrea, for a wonderful session. Please submit it exactly by 1:43. Otherwise, we will not receive, you all will not receive the certificates. Thank you for being patient. Is there anything else that you all want to ask? Any doubts or anything? You all can post them in the chat and then we'll get back to you later. We will put them out as answers maybe in the YouTube comments or something. Also, you all can leave the meeting once you all submit the quiz and everything. Thank you so much.